No, I guess I was just planning on like picking up just
Oh,
because
okay.
I've seen it. I watched it today, and you guys haven't watched it in a while.
Well, regardless, first we must
Uh,
start.
It's been like 13 weeks.
Yeah, it's been
so
a
yeah,
full season.
Yeah,
so just a little bit of time.
just a little bit.
We've been hype on a show and then immediately dropped or not dropped it, but immediately unhype on a show in a span of two
Yeah.
episodes.
Okay, I wasn't super hyped if I'm going to be honest on the first one. Like
Oh, sorry,
it looks.
that's not actually the show we're talking about. It's a different
Oh
show.
yeah.
You can listen to episode 102 for
Oh,
that. Anyways, today we'll be talking about Apart Ranman, Decadence, God of High School, in episode 104, season whatever of Anime Book Club. I'm Brandon,
I'm Nick.
and
I'm Jeff.
here's Jeffrey. He's
Special guest
back.
Jeffrey.
Fucking, it's
Yes.
been 2-ish years. I think last time we talked to you was with Megalobox and the shoujo shows that fucking sucked.
Yep.
That sounds about right.
Okay.
That was as far as I can tell. Outside of one out of the blue appearance of Jeffrey in an episode in which, much like this episode, I will refuse him a picture because he's not a full member of book club until he attends 3 meetings. Jeffrey's last thing that I could find was Megalobox.
Was the
Okay.
latest one after was the most recent episode after Megalobox the Static Shock episode?
Because I watched Static Shock.
Yeah, because we watched
I
Static
guess
Shock
yeah,
together. I
you
think
must
that's
have
the
been
one.
here for Static Shock as well. 'Cause I
That
do
was one of
remember.
our off-season do whatever shows. I
Yeah.
think. Anyways, let's talk about Apollo Ramen first. Jeffrey, you watched the first episode. You were supposed to watch
I
all
did.
three, but you didn't.
Yeah, I'm still a bad member of book club. Like, it wouldn't be a good reoccurrence of my character if I suddenly changed. The
Right.
True.
audience wouldn't know who I am. Like, this is Jeff that left us.
And we just had a whole season
There
of
you
complaining about character progression, so I mean, it makes sense that this is your character progression arc. You
So,
weren't here for any of those animes, and don't worry, you didn't miss anything. But
Anime.
anime.
I still
but
contend that Wait Listen to Me was still really good. So
Wait, Listen to Me was okay. It was no, I'm sorry, it was really good. The other
it was
one,
okay.
Sing It to Me,
You gave it a
was
4 out of
garbage.
5, or an
Yeah, I
8
did
out
give
of
it
10
a-
or
Oh.
something.
I gave it a 4 out of 5. No, Sing Yesterday to Me was hot garbage. Was the lowest ranked show I think I've ever had in ABC, and there were some fucking garbage shows that we did.
Out of pure spite and hatred. Anyways,
Yeah, but
Jeffrey,
that's last season. This is this season.
tell
Jeffrey.
us, how did you
yeah,
like the
speaking
first
of this
episode?
season,
Sorry, go ahead.
well, all of the season, none of these are bad shows. Like, I've only watched,
See, okay,
5
Jeffrey,
of the
that's what we
7
thought.
Oh
That's
no.
what we thought last season. Anyways,
I mean, episode 1's like, I'm enjoying it so far.
right. So
Um,
is
yeah.
a part of Ramen to you wacky races, but from in Japan or not in Japan, like just with Japanese characters?
Oh, that's 100% what it is. But like, slightly more plot than that show, which had literally no plot except for Dick Dastardly being like an asshole. Like that's the plot of that show. This one just seems like, oh, this guy doesn't give a fuck about anything. Anyways, let's do wacky races.
Mhm.
Right. So you didn't watch this show with us, but he resembles another character from a show we watched called Senku, who is very similar, but more so on like the asocial aspect of it. Senku is a genius, an engineering master, much like Pare is. I struggle to remember his name there,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but Pare much
I
more
had it too.
asocial.
Um, and it was one of those things that as we were watching it, we were talking about the fact that Apare, and we were contrasting it with Senku because they came out in like sequential seasons essentially. So we just got done watching Senku, and it was very like it blended scientific with like classic shonen-y tropes. Like it was entertaining and it was very high energy, and at the same time you had Senku like doing actual chemistry and actual science to produce stuff in the stone world. And so it was a really interesting show. And then
Okay.
going to Apare Ranman, which is Apare trying to create cars in like a
Like steam cars.
yeah, in if I remember correctly, we decided it was like the very early 1900s.
Yeah, like 1910s, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
not expecting any science.
yeah, that was the thing. It was like Apare is it doesn't explain anything.
Yeah, the science
Well,
there is like very wishy-washy. Like it just kind of works.
yeah, stuff happens off screen a lot of the time. And we're
That
just sort of
doesn't ruin
accepting.
the immersion for me though.
Right.
That's definitely fair. And there's nothing wrong with doing like the building of things off screen. I think if they did like try and say, without a very strong background in cars, if they did try and break down the science and they were wrong about it or they did a very bad job, I think that takes you more out of the immersion than just not explaining it at all. Just saying,
Yeah.
Apari built a car, deal with it.
I agree.
Uh,
I agree.
but it is a show of you'll see this. I think you see it in the very beginning of the first episode, don't you? Where you see like the lineup of all of the cars. Where like
Yes.
even for being the early 1900s, it's a little
There's some
out
liberties
there.
taken. It's very stylistic,
Yeah.
which I'm all about.
Yeah, of course. You got like a fucking boat car, like that like doesn't work in real life. Like,
All right, hold up, Jeffrey. The boat car is what you have a problem with,
Yeah.
not the pimp mobile.
I mean,
Yeah. The
Or
one
the
black
Batmobile.
dude who's okay. This is what we also brought up last time. There's one black guy, and he's the only person who has a sound system in his car.
yeah,
We're in an
pretty
age
cool.
of being woke. That's very unwoke of them.
Well, it might be unwoke.
It's
I
just
think
incredibly
it's
not
so
woke,
cool
though.
as fuck, though.
Yeah, of course it is.
I fucking love that.
I
dude.
expect. Okay, I want him to be great, but I think it's going to be the what's his name from Megalobox, like Pepe Iglesias
Oh my
or
god!
something.
Yes, the
Yeah.
spider. Oh, Jeffrey, no! Don't open this wound.
I wanted so much for him to be good,
And
but I
he
think
got
that's what's
knocked
going
out
to happen with
immediately.
this. Yeah, he's a cool ass theme though.
Oh, his theme was fucking fire.
It was.
That's the only reason I remember his name.
We are gonna see some like gun kata action from him though, because he in the opening he's got like some gun moves while he's martial artsing it all over the place.
Yeah, they have as part of the opening, they have I'm gonna punch you with my gun kind of thing.
Yeah, fun fact. Yeah, it's called gun
Ooh.
kata, like an
It's
actual
very Leon from Final Fantasy.
or Matrixy.
Yeah. So
I'm here for that.
we are going to so you only watched the first episode, right?
I did, but you guys can talk about the other ones. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. If I remember correctly, they never actually get up to
They don't start
that
the race
first
just
episode.
yet.
Yeah.
I believe the race starts in the 4th episode, the one that's about to come out.
I think we still had to do something else because we still had to deal with the Chinese lady
Maybe.
because she hasn't left the racetrack, and I think she was in that first episode.
Right. So right now we're building up like our posse of like our handful of good guys. So one of them is this Chinese girl who is a mechanic for her for like a
Racing
racing team, and she wants to drive her own car, but no one wants to let her because she's a woman.
Yeah.
That's actually
It is actually the plot point. It's like
Yeah.
a proto IndyCar series, basically, where they're driving like the submarine cars. If you've ever seen like really old race cars, they're basically just it's a long tube that you sit in with zero protection, and it's got like a V12 engine because it's a fucking insanity. She wants to be. She's a Chinese immigrant, and
Well,
wants to
her
become a
parents
race.
might be.
Her parents were Chinese immigrants,
For sure, yes.
probably. And so she wants to become a race car driver, but as a woman, they believe that she can't possibly become a race car driver. There's no way that she has the skills. And so she was training. She's been training and like getting better, and she's shown to herself that like she does have the skills, but she's not confident in herself yet. And so I believe where we last left off was she was going to basically stand up for herself and prove that she can be a race car driver before leaving to join Apare and the samurai dude whose name I've forgotten
Right.
as
And
like part of their team.
in part of the 3rd episode, they won a car from this one rich French dude,
Hmm.
this one European dude.
Yeah.
So now she has a car to race with, and a pretty good car too. It's
Yeah.
got, I think it's like bright pink and has blips on it. Or they add that later. I don't remember.
I don't remember. But also the other thing that's sort of weird about this show is that all of the because it's basically the Great American Race. It's I think they call it like the transcontinental race is what they're shaping up to do.
I think so. Yeah.
And
Yeah, probably.
as part of it, it's like a showcase for car manufacturers, right? Because car manufacturers want to show like my car is the best at getting from Los Angeles to New York in the shortest amount of time and in one piece. And so as part of that, like a lot of the, like major racers that we've seen have been sponsored by car manufacturers. And so it's interesting because in classic anime way, they're like slightly changing the lettering, but you can still definitely tell who it is. So far, the French kid has been sponsored by BMW, historically a German company. And I think we've seen one other racer who was sponsored by, I believe, Ford, but I might be wrong about
It
that.
might be Fard.
It might be, yeah. It was like Fard or something like that, or Fort.
Swedish company Fjord.
It very well might have been. But so far, those have been our two car manufacturers that we've seen. We have not, I believe, we haven't seen the black guy, or there were two like butcher-looking
Yeah,
characters in the openings as well that we
there's like
haven't
a
seen
pair.
yet. Yeah. So there's still a few people that haven't shown up, and some car manufacturers that haven't been represented. So we'll see what the full lineup is of cars we're going up against and characters, if we're going to meet them all before the race starts. But it looks like it will be an interesting race. We did sort of have some reservations about like I had some reservations about like how the cars look, especially since it's going to be like the bulk of the show is going to be a race across America, and so what we're going to see for most of it is the cars racing and like driving places. And the cars didn't look spectacular in my opinion. So we're going to see, when the actual like racing gets started, how that works out. But at the moment, I certainly have reservations about like visually what it's going to look like.
I can see that. I can see not really liking the car designs too much.
Hmm.
I am ambivalent right now. I don't think they look great. I don't think they look awful. I think some look better than others. Like a standout is the black dude's car, and the other ones are kind of like eh. But I don't think it'll detract from the show too much, at least for me. At least it hasn't yet.
Hmm.
Jeffrey, what do you think? You've seen the cars, maybe.
I think that the cars are going to be like they have these like interesting designs in the lineup that we saw. Like I only saw them for a couple seconds because I watched these shows at 2 times speed.
Okay.
Um,
Mm.
so I think what it's going to end up doing is they're going to like have these kind of like the pimp car and all these other like kind of wacky-ish
Why not
designs,
gotta be a
and they're
pimp
never
car?
really going to showcase them. What?
That's like, go ahead.
Brandon was calling you out for calling out the pimp car only.
It's
Keep
the
in
one that
mind,
I
I'm the
remember right
first one that
now.
said that.
Yeah. There's
I
also the
honestly
only other
couldn't
car
even
I
tell
can
you what the
remember is
other
the
ones were.
Batmobile.
Yeah, I don't even remember that one, honestly. So like, I think they're probably just not going to showcase them often, and they're going to be like more focused on the insides, and they're not going to show a lot of like. I think they're just not going to show it a lot, like, because it's got to be. I guess with cars, it's not as expensive to animate as like fighting sequences, but like that was the issue with Killing Bites, right? Is that like the fights were just
Garbage.
I'm gonna slash once and it's over,
Yes.
and like I have a feeling this is going to be similar to that. I really hope it's going to be better than Killing Bites.
So, at least for the cars, they're all CG, so it might be a bit easier on them.
But
But
that
I don't
they
know.
can't get like dynamic shots with that then, right? Because it's going to look so out of place.
You can, like, if you do it right. We've seen
It
it
is
before.
difficult.
It's
We've
like,
also seen a lot of examples of it not going
yeah,
well.
not done well, but at the same time, like, more often than not, I think they use CG for those dynamic shots. Just because to do dynamic shots with, like, hand drawn stuff is a lot more time intensive. So they'd
I mean,
rather.
we all were there for Death March and some of the worst CG shots we've
But
ever
those
seen.
weren't dynamic shots. We literally
False.
just.
Those ants
That wasn't
live
dynamic. The
forever
camera
in.
didn't move. We just looked up at the sky and we just saw them hit the force field.
I mean, okay, but how much do you think the camera's really gonna move in these like car shots? Like, other than a vague panning, which is actually just gonna be the background moving.
Well, I think that's what Jeffrey was talking about, was like the camera doing a lot of movements as dynamic. I don't know if that's what he meant though. That's what I took
Yeah,
from it. Like moving
like
up and down, swiveling, like tossing and turning. I'm thinking of like
have you
Attack
have
on
you
Titan.
seen the Speed Racer live action movie?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, like I think it like actually has like cool shot. Like it's a weird as fuck movie,
It
but like
is.
good shots for car like action scenes though. And
Mhm.
like if they do that kind of thing with it, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm like here for it. I just don't think they're going to.
Right.
I think it's going to be they're going to focus more on like character development and like they're just going to do close-ups on like the people inside the cars.
Mhm.
And like yeah, I guess that's, makes more sense for an around the world in 80 days kind of thing, but I don't know. I'm very on the fence about this one.
Okay.
Mhm.
This one's like middle of the road for me, honestly.
That's fair.
I can tell you at least when I was watching the trailer, I was really hyped for it because it looked very stylistic and kind of fun. I hope
Okay,
it
good.
is fun. That's all I
It's
really
been
ask
a
from the show.
season since we last watched it, so I forget like how I was feeling about it when we last left off with it.
I think you were
But I
fairly
think
good
one of the
on it.
things I think so.
You were sweet on it.
I think one of the things that I was sort of convinced is like how they're going to proceed is I sort of suspect that it's going to be a lot of like out of the car stuff that will happen. So we'll drive to a place and then get out of the car to like inspect it, and like we'll meet somebody like there at the place.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like the story is. They drive. We don't see the driving because it's just kind of driving. They're probably going to be driving alone for more often than not. And they meet up at like some town. They have some hijinks where they try to fuck each other over, and then they drive off to the next town. That'll be the next episode. That's how I think it's going to go.
All I want them to do is drive to Texas and then be there to remember the Alamo.
Yeah.
Apare, wake up, wake up. What do you remember? I remember
Remember the
the
Alamo.
Alamo.
Yeehaw! Was the best scene ever of all time.
So Jeffrey, do you have any questions for us about how we felt about the show?
Well, all right. What do you think of the character designs generally? Because I think that was the thing that like was the most throwing me off on the show.
I actually really like them. Like they're so colorful. They're all so
No,
different.
it's very colorful.
Like you can tell who like all of them apart from each other, like immediately.
Yes.
It is one of the things I think I remember talking about was like they captured the essence of the era well. Like it's very 1910s in feeling. Like I don't think anything about it feels out of place or like not correct. It is very much a show that says like you know who the characters are immediately, which I think is a common thing in anime and was also a thing in Boogie Pop that I complained about was the fact that you couldn't tell who anybody was because it tried to be too realistic.
Yeah, all their faces were way too simple.
Yeah, and they all had like one of four hair colors or one of two hair colors and one of four hairstyles. So like it was really difficult to tell those characters
And also
apart.
all wore a fucking uniform.
And all wore the same uniform. So I think here like the characters all look a little like unique and specific, but like I think that's just more of a like a thing based on the medium, like it's just an anime thing, just to make their characters stand out so you know who the important people are. But I think of like the background characters, like some of the other characters like in and around that we saw, like interacted with, they do really capture the essence of the 1910s. It comes up in episode 2 and 3 where there are some very racist things that get said.
Ooh.
Racist in terms of like the show's depicting racism rather than the show being racist itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I figured that's what it meant.
Specifically, the young Native American kid shows up.
Yeah, the kid with the blue dots on his forehead.
Yeah, there are some words that are said about Native Americans by characters in the show, not by the show itself. But yeah, it's I think the background characters are good at capturing the essence of the 1910s. I do think, like Brand said, the main characters are very colorful, which can be off-putting. I think. Like if you want a very realistic show, this is definitely not gonna be that show.
Oh, of course. I don't expect this on it. I don't expect it. I don't walk into ABC like, oh, I can't wait for realism.
I mean, that's what we got. We had 2, 3, or I would say 3. I would say 3, just because our Fruits Basket has supernatural elements doesn't mean it's not realistic. It does, I think, a really like great job at depicting like realistic relationships and abuse.
I
right?
guess it does depict real emotional stuff. I mean, cults are real. That is fair.
What? Yeah, like
I was gonna say like they're straight up in a cult.
Families are real. Yeah. In terms of way of listening, that one is more like a little wacky. But like,
I mean, that was just her imagination, though.
Well, yeah, it was. It's just in terms of like what was going on in the world, though, it just kind of felt a little weird, just because it hit that uncanny valley where like you knew it was real, like the entire world was like a mundane world, but there were just so many weird things that were happening around this character.
Okay, that is fair. You're right. There was a lot
Stuff
of like extra stuff happening with Minari at the center, but like all of it was, like you said, inherently realistic.
Like it was all mundane. Like it
a
all
dude
stuff
got
that
hit by
happen.
a car. Minari was a fuck and put meat in the ceiling and then it rotted. Stuff like that. Like it's all very possible stuff. It was an earthquake, yeah. And like all of the like weird stuff was really just her imagination. And then there was Wave Listen or Sing Answer
Sing
Me,
Answer
which
Me.
is entirely a realistic show.
Very mundane. So mundane that in fact the show became also mundane. Anyways.
Anyways, we
Disappointing.
cannot
Frantic.
leave that season alone. The season will never die.
Much like the Killing by Season.
Much like the Killing Bed season.
But yeah,
And the Ghost of the Maho Shoujo season.
that was a far run on. We'll continue to watch it. Hopefully it doesn't get bad.
Yeah, hopefully. I hope it doesn't get bad because there's nothing else to fall back on in this season. Other than
Really?
going to watch Digimon, that's about the only other option we have
There's
as far as Brian and
Digimon.
I wanted.
There's the Issei or the battle.
Oh,
School
right, the
show,
Battle High School thing. I
which
didn't watch that. I don't know if that's actually like a comedy or not yet.
it says comedy on the tags.
Maybe you're right. But
Anyways.
yeah, there is not a lot of good shows. If we picked up like right now, we've got 3 like possibly like at worst okay shows. That Isekai show or the Battle High School, whatever you want to call it, like that has the potential to be a bad show.
Yeah. Or one that we don't like.
Or one that we don't like. It could be a good show and kind of funny and good to make fun of, but it's way more likely that the show's not going to be good. But yeah, Jeffrey, there is not a lot to fall back on in this season.
Yeah.
It's kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Playing.
Hopefully next season a lot of stuff got moved. Like a lot of stuff got moved to next season, so hopefully there will be a better selection of stuff. I think we've already got an eye on a few things if I remember correctly. So,
but that's a part on. Next up is Decadence.
why do you keep calling it Decadence?
Decadence?
It's Decadence.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's the astigmatism, Nick. It's the
It's the astigmatism. You got an eye problem now.
I mean, technically, dyslexia is an eye problem. Oh, it's more of a brain problem.
It's a brain problem.
Anyways,
Astigmatism is an eye-seeing problem. It means you need glasses.
astigmatism runs in my family, though, so at some point I might need glasses. So don't tread lightly.
Fuck you, I'm gonna make fun of you anyways.
Oh yeah, Decadence. This show bamboozled me in the second episode, where I was like, "Oh shit, what the fuck's going on with this?"
And then it bamboozled you by having a 3rd episode.
Yeah, because it came out this morning, and since this morning I've been freaking out, so I forgot to watch it.
big bang boom. Give him a little 1, 2, 3. Never, you keep them guessing. If you...
Yeah.
So I have only watched the first 2 episodes. The first episode wherein it culminates to our big ass tank becoming a fist
Yes.
and punching the shit
Yeah,
out
that's
of the
pretty
whale.
fucking cool.
I was expecting a laser, and then it just makes a fist, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
well, I have to deal with this now. And then in the second episode, sorry, Jeffrey.
I thought it was going to turn into a mech.
Same. I was like, actually, I was upset that it was about to turn into a mech. And I was pleasantly surprised that it didn't. I was surprised.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was
I think it's
pleasant.
better that it didn't.
I think it is, but I was still like very much like taken aback. Because I had
We
originally
just
thought...
wanted another mech.
No, I actually originally thought this show was going to be a bit more like grim. Because I had made fun of it saying that it was going to be kind of like Attack on Titan. So I thought it was going to turn into a big laser, the laser to fucking destroy things, not a big ass fist of all things. And then it kind of makes sense that it became a fist because this is just the game. That a bunch of little robots play, but the humans are real. So it's like a reverse. What's that show? Fuck, the one with the robots.
Well, the robots are real too. Everybody's real.
Everyone is real, but like in. Oh my god, the one with
The
the
robots
cowboys.
are playing a game.
Yeah, basically. God damn it, I was gonna do.
The robots are playing a game, but the robots are also
They're alive.
real
They're
robots
They're real. They're sentient
yeah.
things.
who do face like punishment. So there's a lot to sort of deal with. Between our first 2 episodes, we basically get the story of, in the first episode, our female character, who has a name and I don't remember it.
I don't remember it either. Just call it Blondie.
Yeah, Blondie Metal Arm.
Oh, call her Al. Wait,
Yeah,
no, fuck. That's the wrong. That's the one. That's the wrong brother. Call her Edward.
Yeah, Edward. So we've got female Edward and Katsuragi, who is our more gruff boss of female Edward.
Who turns into
As she-
Natsumi?
a cute little Natsume, I guess.
Is that what her name is?
Natsume, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
Natsume.
I'm on the wiki now. And also, you
Okay.
got the guy's name wrong. He's
Kutsuragi?
Kaburagi.
Kaguragi.
Okay.
Who's
Kaburagi.
Katsuragi?
I don't know.
Nick, I think that's the lady from Evangelion.
You might be right. Anyways, yeah. So we learn her sort of backstory about her father and how she's a human who lives inside of this mobile fortress, and she wants to join the Power, which is a group that goes outside to fight these monsters.
With the
And
gears, which is this separate race of people.
mhm. And so she doesn't at the end of her schooling, she basically doesn't get accepted, but she basically doesn't hear back from the Power at all. And so she has to accept a job doing something else, and so she ends up cleaning the outside of this fortress that she lives in with a Kaburagi, whatever his name is that Jeffrey just said.
Yeah.
Kaburagi.
And so at the end of all this, like they said, it culminates into a giant battle with some of these monsters, and we have the fist that punches the whale in the face, because that's the most effective way to take care of whales, obviously. Thank you for posting the same image again, Jeffrey.
I meant to. I did the wrong thing.
I figured. And then our second episode is the tale of Kaburagi, as how we learned that the existence of these cyborgs, and they are playing a game. They are living on a ship up in the atmosphere and playing a game where they play as the Gears, who go out to fight the monsters. And it's a game of, obviously, when your character dies, you have to start a new character, which is how they're simulating the death of these characters so the humans don't know what's going on. And we see that Kaburagi used to be really well regarded, and because of some cheating by one of his teammates, he basically got conscripted into service to this corporation that seemingly owns all of this, as to find what they call bugs. Yeah, they keep saying that they work for the corporation, which is a little bit weird because, like Jeffrey said, like they think of it as a game, and yet they also talk about like working for this corporation, which is a little bit weird.
I think like maybe the work was gamified. The thing that the blue stuff that they get from the monsters maybe is like some sort of I think it is like some nourishment for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's used for something, not just the humans.
It's very like corporate overlord 1984.
Nick, it's very cyberpunk.
It very much is. It's I mean, they even sign off their like daily briefings in the Android world with like "have a profitable day."
Yeah, it's very much very corporatist.
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, a lot of things about the world is just kind of confusing to me because I guess like I guess I'm just not even 100% understanding what they mean by a bug.
Something that doesn't belong,
because
basically. Like either the way like they had a little graphic, and the way I understood it was someone that knows that the Gears are actually like these little robot people, or is beginning to become aware that they live like, even though they're like in the real world, that there's like something gamified about their world. Basically, as soon as they start to question what's going on around them, they're considered a bug. They're considered something that's not fit for their game. And that's basically what happened with Natsume's dad, where he finds a little token that represents, I guess, a corporation or something, and then he's killed off screen.
okay,
Yeah, he was a bug. Natsume was earlier. I think this would happen. I don't know if this is what is revealed in episode 3, but earlier she was probably considered a bug, and she was thought to be dead. And in the system, she's now dead. So now she no longer is being tracked, and that's why Kaburagi's like, cool. Now I can tear everything down and destroy everything.
yeah, basically.
Yeah, I mean that's where it seems to be going.
Yeah. They don't
They
really
also refer to-
explore the bug thing very much. They refer to Kaburagi's dog as a bug as well.
Yeah, that's what made me confused about it.
So it
Like,
seems not just like
who?
anybody who knows about it, but like anything that's wrong. Like there is a way that the world is supposed to be here, and anything that runs like counter to that is a bug. It does then like lead to the question of like why? Because they talk about like the chips, but the fact that the dog is also a bug then implies like even the monsters have chips.
Maybe because I think Natsume would like if once the corporation found out about Natsume how she doesn't have a chip, they didn't even say, oh, that's a bug, kill it. Just because it doesn't have, just because it Has a chip doesn't mean it's a bug. I don't think I worded that correctly.
You did not word that correctly. You word that entirely incorrectly, in fact.
I think I needed a
Because
dot somewhere. But anyways, like,
everything has a chip, is what I'm saying. Like, all
oh,
the humans have chips. For sure, we
I
already
don't
know
know
that.
if pipe has a chip. Do they know about pipe?
No, that's the thing. They
They don't know
don't.
about Pipe yet.
But we don't know that. But we don't know that Pipe has a chip.
Yeah,
But Kaburagi says that Pipe is a bug.
right. Because it's
Yes.
a happy monster. It's a monster that doesn't kill people.
Yeah. But if that's a bug, and his whole thing is to collect the chips from bugs, that would imply that Pipe has a chip.
I think it's to collect the chips from bugs who are like the human bugs, not like just bugs in general.
But then why would he refer to it as a bug? It's not just.
Because
It's just a happy
like
monster.
I said, it runs something that runs counter to the world. It's a alien that's friendly. It's not supposed to be that way. All aliens, sorry, not alien, but all monsters are.
But if it's not being controlled by a chip, like the implication of bug means that the chip is modulating behavior, basically. The chip is directing you to behave a certain way. If you behave counter to your programming, you are a bug. If the monsters don't have programming, they can't be bugs.
Okay, I see that.
Maybe it's something we're going to learn later on because every episode they do give you like a little bit of backstory about like how the world works. Because I think I know Brandon, you might have missed this, but in episode 3 they explain like what the monsters are all about,
Do they
like
all,
how they got here.
Do we know the monsters have chips or not, or are they like?
We don't know that.
Okay,
No.
but are they like restocked as part of the game?
We don't know that either.
Oh, okay.
No, we do. Because they go to that tutorial zone, and we see the monster respawn.
Oh, I thought he said. Oh,
Like restocked as
Yeah.
in.
I
Like,
mean, are they just creating them? I thought like there literally just was a nest, and then he referred to it like a tutorial zone.
Oh,
But I
no,
also could
I
be wrong
assumed
on
that that was his, like, justification to her, so because he couldn't explain to her, like, oh, yeah, this is a video game, like, we're just playing a game, you're just a character in my game. But yeah, like, so they go to this, like, hunting ground, basically, like a tutorial zone with, like, one monster, so that, female
she can get
Edward can
better.
get used to, like, the stuff and, like, how to, operate and all that.
yeah, the little anti-gravity thing.
It's very much the Attack on Titan, like, school arc, where they have to go into the gear, like, rodeo thing and run around. But yeah, so they go to this tutorial zone, and there's, like, one monster, and she can get better at it, and when they kill it, you see another one, like, come into view, and she freaks out, and they say, like, oh yeah, there must be a nest nearby, or something like that. And then his head, Kaburagi, goes like, I can't tell her that it's a tutorial zone. So I'm assuming that they
Yours
are
makes more sense to
respawning.
me.
Yeah, I would say they're respawning. Which now, my whole theory about the blood being like an important resource now doesn't make it cold in your water, because like, why would you collect a resource even though you have it all?
Well, okay, that's the other thing.
Right?
The blood clearly is some type of resource, because the androids are consuming it.
So maybe both things are right, Nick. It's a tutorial zone, but it's also like a little spawning ground. Like
Maybe, yeah.
It's not mutually exclusive that it's a real nest and also a tutorial zone. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of questions.
But there's also,
that need answered.
yeah.
A lot of questions.
Yeah, but
But
they
there
do
is
seem
also
to
the
be
question
doing a
of
good job
what
of
is the
explaining.
monster?
Sorry, one
Yeah,
of
they
you
just kind of
repeat
say
what
they
you said.
appeared there.
They need to explain, like, what is a monster, like where they came from. And I'm assuming we'll get there, several episodes down the line. I doubt they want to give that one away right in the beginning.
It's humans, Nick. It's people.
I mean, it probably is what I'm expecting. Because their explanation of, like, what created the android people is, like, in the year 2040 or whatever it was, like, we had consumed the planet and everything was fucked, and then we created, like, androids in this spaceship and went to live on the spaceship.
We, as in humans?
Humans.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that as a factor of, like, fucking up the planet, we then created the monsters, which I'm assuming are mutated people or mutated animals or something.
Could be.
I really hope it's not that, just because I feel like that'd be so boring.
That brings up an
Yep.
interesting point, though, what you said a little bit earlier, Nick. Do you
Mhm.
think the robots are like humans who got put into a robot body?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So Kaburagi was a real
They
person
like
at
had a
some
very,
point.
like, I don't remember if it was in episode 2 or 3, but there's, like, a little, like, cartoony graphic of, like, the world being destroyed, and then they go, like, there's, like, humans running away, and they run into this
think that was
factory, and,
3.
like, robots come out in the other side of the factory, and, like, they don't tell you, like, yeah, we like took your conscious and put it into an android or something like that. Like, they don't tell you that's what happened. but that's kind of what I assume happened.
I like how they're giving us these little graphics without like outwardly, just like without like just explaining it to us. Because one piece that I didn't really like in the first episode was when we started in school and like we just got info dumped for a good 3 minutes,
Oh, that was awful.
right? But like these little graphics like are more interesting to like look at and like try to figure out what's going on. It makes it more engaging, in my opinion. Although, albeit, it does kind of confuse us because we don't know exactly what's going on, which might be what they want to
Yeah,
do.
we're given little bits.
They want to build up the mystery box to bring us back like suckers, which have already been sucked into it.
Brandon, stop. You're just digging yourself deeper.
I've been sucked in deeper.
So they do call them cyborgs, and by definition, cyborgs do have to be part human.
Yeah, part biological. So that's why Nick, you call them
So-
cyborgs. I would say they're not cyborgs because they're fully robots, but I guess I was gonna figure that out in episode 3.
Well, they do refer to them as cyborgs,
Like-
like in show.
In the show or in the translation?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Because
I don't know if they don't say like, I don't think they say cyborg in English is the thing, and obviously we don't know enough Japanese to say. We don't know any Japanese, so it's hard to say whether or not they actually say cyborg. But I'm assuming if they translate it that way, like either the translator didn't care about the nuance between cyborg
Yeah.
and android, or they did say cyborg. It's one of those two.
Yeah, because like there is that very subtle nuance about it, which could definitely change how you interpret what's going on in the world. I think it's like one of the first times I encountered that, where like a translation kind of really matters. At least in shows we watched, or that we picked up on at least.
Yeah, it doesn't come up very often
Yeah.
that a specific nuance of translation is very important. It's rare that something like that comes up.
So we'll see. At the very least, I think all the little robots are cute. Like they look really cute. They're all like super small and they look like toys.
They do.
Did like the manager robot or like the overlord robot? Did you see him?
The one with the
And
big nose.
his little weird fucking the big nose guy with the fucking
Basically,
ball
you
thing
mean
as an
you mean the
assistant.
announcer from God of High School,
Yeah, he really is.
or fucking God, the nose from the Velvet Room.
Yeah, it's the nose from
Eeyore.
the Velvet Room, tag
Eeyore,
teamed with not being able to talk GLaDOS is basically what it is.
Oh, the little like flappy thing in the corner.
Yeah, the little ball. It's literally just GLaDOS's emotional cores as it rotates through the different faces.
That reminds me. I want to get that mirror back from Iromakun and have that be there instead. But that's a joke that or a reference that Jeffrey doesn't get.
Yeah, he was not there for,
I do not.
for that show.
But yeah, I like all the characters in this show. Well, at least all the robots and then the main character. Some of like the other human characters are kind of blandish. Don't care too much about them so far, or just yet.
Yeah.
But they're all really funny. I like.
I mean, we've had some like human interaction, which like it's. Sorry, I'm thinking about like how I want to phrase this.
Good. Take your time, but not too much time.
It's something that I brought up a lot of times before, and it's something that I'm like more lenient about early in shows because there's still like
It's still
a
building
lot of
up its
stuff to
characters.
explore and stuff like that. But like the first episode where we had like little like catty bullying moment of like, oh, you're never gonna get there, like yeah.
With the lady, with the bully,
Yeah, and like now through 3 episodes, like we never really deal with her again. We've never really seen that character, and I'm kind of going like, was there a point to that? Like, we don't really need it.
It's to establish that our main character is an underdog, but like it kind of goes in the opposite direction of that of Mao Shoujo Shite, where they don't really go far enough. Where in Sight they just went way too far.
Yeah, they took it way too far. It's like, I don't know if they're trying to paint her as an underdog. Like, not getting a response at all from the power is already like,
Yeah,
and she doesn't have an arm. Like, she's already naturally an underdog with the prosthetic hand and the whole not getting accepted by like your job application, basically. Like, I didn't feel like it added very much, and like it was a weird moment to have. And I feel like the only reason it's there is to, like, oh, excuse me, I'm very burpy right now. I feel like the only reason it's there is that 10 episodes down the line, we can go back to that character and be like, look how cool I am now that I'm a member of the power and I'm awesome. And like,
She's gonna save her. Our main
oh,
character's gonna end up
absolutely,
saving
yeah.
her.
Oh,
Mhm.
100%.
But I don't know if that was,
Needed.
yeah, necessary. I don't think it added anything. And we've had some interactions with the friend, which I think were a lot better, as they in the first episode talk about like, oh yeah, you want to become part of the power, like, oh, keep working hard, you're gonna do it. And then in the third episode, we have like a more real conversation of like the friend basically begging her like, please stop, like please don't do this, you're gonna die if you go out there. And so like I feel like like the conversations with the friend are like more compelling than dealing with the bully. Granted, it was one scene that I'm complaining about, but still, like, you know, I just I don't want to get back into fucking seeing Yesterday to Me, where I just complain about scenes all the time because there's so much that's pointless. It's like, even though nobody listened to this and I can't change anything, like I still just want to call out stuff that like is pointless and is like it's a bad design and bad decisions to have scenes like this. And I think that's one of those moments of there was no point to it. There was no need to have that scene there.
Yeah, that's understandable. Kind of pointless so far. Like I said, basically, I think we pretty much guessed what the payoff is going to be, and it's going to be the saving of the one bully girl. And even then, the payoff's not that fucking great. Any questions
Uh,
for you guys?
I'll say that this is probably like my favorite of the three shows.
Ooh,
I
interesting.
think
Why?
like I think the action sequences have been the best so far. I like the two very different art styles that go around, like between the quote unquote like game world and the robot world. Um, this is the one that I'm most excited for. But
Okay.
to be fair, I watched 3 episodes of this and 1 episode of the other two shows, so I do have a little bit of a
Bias there. There's a.
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
But
Um,
of the pilots, this is the one that impressed me the most.
I would say that the show with better action is God of High School, in my opinion. But like
I would agree
Well,
that
that's
God of High
that's
School probably has better
fighting
action,
action
but I think
specific.
Jeffrey's right. Decadence will probably have the better story, in my opinion.
I hope.
I hope so too.
Yeah, this
But I
is
think
an
Decadence is
original.
set up to have a better story.
Okay. Right. There's more mystery. There's more like intrigue in Decadence. Because what we've gotten
Yeah.
so far from God of High School is a little bit different.
Yes.
Well,
Um,
let's talk about God of High School then.
a good segue, Jeffrey. In God of High School, the action like basically is front and center, and then the story
It
is
is.
like almost non-existent. Right now, there's a tournament
Well,
going on, and we're just kind
yeah,
of
we'll see how long that hangs out, like how long that continues to be a thing for.
right because right now we're really just trying to get past this tournament. It seems from comments that I've read, there's supposed to be a lot more like character stuff going on amongst like all these side characters that get beaten immediately and our main characters. But it seems like they want to get to the bulk of the story first. But so far, it's just been a lot of fighting. Granted, this fighting is
The
fucking
fighting is good.
awesome.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Um, I mean, it is visually beautiful. They do a good job of doing very fluid motion. A lot of the scenes, like, I don't know if it's just like a high frame count or what, but the way that they animate so many people, fighting against each other in that very first sequence of like the battle royale, it looks visually stunning.
I don't know if it was
Um,
just me, but I felt like they kind of dropped the frame rate on that battle sequence.
you thought they dropped the frame rate?
Yeah, I thought they dropped it.
I thought they at least doubled it.
Um, because
The
I think most anime is done in two, so it's 2 frames. It is one frame every like two. It's 12 frames
12
per second.
seconds.
Yeah, it's 12 frames 12 frames
Yeah.
per second. But I think they dropped it a little bit, at least in my opinion.
I thought they were doubling it.
I'd
I thought
have
they
to
were
go,
going to 24.
I don't think
Doing it in ones.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think they usually do it. Go to it in ones when they're doing fighting stuff. I'd have to actually
That's
go
what they did for the Naruto sequence.
Oh,
Or the Boruto sequence, I'm sorry.
no. With the
I mean-
I mean,
one
there
against
isn't,
the god.
as far as I'm aware, there is not a Naruto sequence of like the fight sequence from Naruto, but there is the one from Boruto,
Oh yeah, the only one.
where if you reference the fight scene in Boruto, everyone knows that you're talking about the fucking Naruto and Sasuke versus the one dude
The
fight.
Tsuchikage or whatever.
Yeah.
Tsukijin.
That was done in 24.
Oh, okay. So there is precedence. I'd have to go through and like actually look at it frame by frame, but that's just the way it felt to me. I don't know if it was because my like video was buffering or if it was just me, but I felt like it kind of got dropped down. In my opinion, like, well, if it was dropped down, I think it was for good reason. It's just because there was just so much shit going on screen that it'd be very hard to do like all of that. Either in basically, it would be almost impossible to do in 24. Much, and then probably most likely if it was in 12. But I'd have to actually,
I mean, the animation itself was also very like loosey goosey. I really don't know how to describe it. Other than
uh,
that, like
very
these
splashy,
characters don't
stretchy.
have bones, and
They're Gumby
so
people.
they're Gumby people, and like that does make for some really cool sequences, but that can also make it look like it's moving like slow or it's not like as hard, I guess, as like a
As smooth.
faster thing. So that might be like what's giving you the illusion of that.
Okay.
If
Mhm.
that's me bullshitting an excuse
Yeah.
to maybe explain because I agree with Nick that like during the action sequences it seemed to get more
I know in
fluid.
one, I think it
Mhm.
did get more fluid, and that's the fight with the kung fu. Well, it wasn't kung fu. It was
Taekwondo.
I don't think it was taekwondo. It was taekwondo versus the other guy,
Oh, Tai Chi.
Tai Chi. There, it was a Tai Chi versus taekwondo guy. And when the taekwondo guy's like basically pummeling his face in, that I felt like was actually really fluid and like that. I think that's when the frame rate got increased.
Really?
Yeah.
We had very different opinions of the frame rate of this. This is interesting in that we both agree it looks good, and yet we have very
Yeah.
different opinions about
Well,
it
this
looks
is all
really good.
empirical, so we could actually go back and actually like count the frames at some point. I might.
We could. I'm not
Yeah, but I'm
going
not
to.
going
Not
to.
going to.
Yeah,
I might if I'm bored tomorrow, but we'll see. I probably won't.
you gotta be really fucking bored to want to do that.
Yeah,
It
seriously.
wouldn't take that long. But the story of
If
God
it
of High
takes any amount of time, it's more time than I'm willing to spend.
But right now, the story of God of High School is that there's a tournament called the God of High School, and a lot of our characters, have joined in and are looking to get a wish granted because that's the reward for this tournament. And our three main characters, we know their wishes. One of them is to keep their dojo. One of them is to just fight strong people, and the other is to get money to help his friend out.
Yes, we have
Um,
sword, we have not Sanji, and then we have fists. Um, they they're this is something that I complain about a lot. They're just not characters.
They're not.
It's something that I say a lot, and I'm gonna say it again. They're just not characters. We don't know anything about these people. They're barely high school students, and we only know that they're high school students because the one girl's wearing a high school uniform. We haven't seen
well,
them
we
like
only know that
go
she is.
to a class.
We know she
or
is. We don't know the
yeah,
other two. I
we
would
don't know
argue
anything
that.
about like anything about what they do. We only vaguely know the one dude and the fact that his friend has cancer and that he like works to support his friend.
Right, but like we also see that he's very God, what's the right word for it? Like upstanding. Or,
Okay, yeah.
like we do
Moral.
get we did see some of like what he's thinking and stuff more so than the other two, right? As of right now.
I still wouldn't say that's a. It's a character like it's a component of his character, but it's not like a backstory. It doesn't inform like what made him that way. Why is he morally upstanding like that? Is more interesting than just being morally upstanding. Because they can show me the character. I know that fucking not Sanji is the hot blooded, wants to fight everything, very like dedicated to fighting stronger people than him.
Oh, Nick, you say not Sanji, but he's clearly just a Goku ripoff.
But he only kicks, so he's not Sanji. Speaking of Sanji, though, I did not fucking when I was first reading One Piece a long ass time ago when I was in middle school. I thought that Sanji also had like the Gum Gum abilities. It's like the way that the manga panels are like shown. I guess my sense of perspective was really weird, and it felt like Sanji's kicks were like going farther than they should. And so in my head, I was like, oh, he just also has the Gum Gum thing.
Well, no, that's just the way they drew it. Like he just has talk about Gumby people. That all that manga is Gumby people, regardless of whether they have the Gum Gum ability or not.
Yeah,
They're
that is true.
very like squiggly.
They are.
And
Um,
I was gonna say I completely lost my train of thought. Go ahead.
sorry, I'm trying to formulate the words in my head. So like we know things about not Sanji and like what type of person he is, but we don't know anything about him. And so we go back to the thing I say all the time in that they're just not characters. And the fact that we're skipping over lots of character development, I mean, maybe it's not like important stuff, like whatever character stuff we're missing is just not super critical, and there's more critical stuff down the line that we'll deal with. And like that will actually inform like who these people are and like why they are the way they are. But I just I think they wanted to do the fight stuff so badly that they're not giving us characters. Like if it's just going to be a fight, like it's going to be a 12 episode long tournament arc and it's just going to be the fight and it's only ever going to be the fight. I honestly don't think it is, but that's beside the point. If it's just going to be the fight, then maybe it doesn't matter what characters they are. We could skip past all of that and we'll never have to deal with it again. But in my opinion, I think they need to do a better job of dealing with the characters and like showing us who these people are. Because as it stands right now, I think they are going to run into a problem of a couple episodes down the line when they start to get into like maybe more of the serious story stuff. We don't know anything about these characters and it will feel a little bit weird.
I don't know. We'd have
And
to.
that was my all right.
I have to wait and
My issue.
see. But go ahead,
Go
Jeffrey.
ahead.
I mean, that was my point. Is that was my thing. It's just I'll have to wait and see. We'll see how it goes.
Oh, okay. My thing, I only watched episode 1, so like I don't have like a lot of the perspective. But yeah, I just didn't give a shit. Like the action sequences were cool, but like the first thing that happens is the purse snatching scene, and then like a chase scene, and then fist to face, and then oh, we're in high school tournament right away, fighting more. Like I'm glad you were referring to them as like fists. I don't remember what the other two are honestly because I fucking forgot already. Like
Sword and not Sanji.
yeah, I don't know, not Sanji is in reference to, but sure.
We talked about it.
Um,
It's One Piece.
The Goku guy.
I
Oh, you
don't
don't know
watch
who
One Piece.
Sanji is in reference to. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Kicks.
Also smokes and is a chef.
Also smokes and is a chef. Unless you're watching the anime and then he sucks on lollipops. Can't show people
But
smoking
like,
because it's bad for you.
yeah, disgusting.
Mm.
But like, I just didn't give a shit, and like that, like I said, I like the action sequences. I think they were good, but like, in terms of like longevity of a show, I think you need a little bit more than just cool action sequences.
Yeah. And this is why I said I think God of High School looks better than Decadence, but I think Decadence is set up to be a better story because we already know more about those characters. We don't need to know everything, but the amount we know about like the backstory of our two main characters in Decadence, and it's not a whole lot, is enough to like lead into more of the mystery. And I'm sure as time goes on, we'll learn more about their backstory in Decadence. But like as it stands in God of High School, exactly like you said, we don't know anything about these people. They are fucking literally just Gumby people. They are rubber people who are fighting each other, as far as I'm concerned, because they mean nothing to me. And so I don't know what I want. I don't know if I want there to be a lot more character development or just a little bit more character development, but I mean, there just needs to be something extra.
One reason it's not working right now, I believe, is because the fights right now don't mean anything. They're really just fights.
Mm.
And like, look at Naruto. A lot of their fights have like a story backing it up. At least like the biggest fights do, and then like even like smaller fights in between. The fights are plot points and points of development in and of themselves. And right now in God of High School, there's just plot points, and nothing really ever changes afterwards or before. And
Yeah.
well, sorry, nothing changes concerning the characters.
Yes.
It's just the plot kind of moves a little bit forward. So they kind of need to mesh those two things in, which is what I think the source material had done, but because of just time issues, or some other reason, they had decided to kind of pull back on it some more and kind of just keep going a little bit faster.
And like even talking about Naruto, their tournament arc in the tuning exams, like every fight in the tuning exams, we
Had a story
learned
backing
something
it with
about the
characters.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, even though they were ultimately in the meaning of like the whole story, sort of meaningless fights for the most part, like it was just an exam, and like they were just purely to get better and like determine who was going to become a tuning. We learned about the characters and what was motivating them and what they were striving for. But this show is just, it is also a hot mess for power level reasons. So Jeffrey, you said you only watched the first episode, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know how many episodes of this are going to be, 12, 13,
13.
25, I have
13.
no idea. 13? Okay.
Yep, 13.
Um, so like the proctors or whatever they are called, like the administrators of this tournament, are set up to be like super amazing, super strong, fighters. And in the third episode, our not Sanji Goku character, the guy with the kicks, has already beaten one. Granted, it was in a handicap fight where he didn't actually like beat him down; he just had to knock him over. But still, like 3 episodes in, he's already beaten one of the administrators
Also,
of this
he ate
fight.
the devil fruit, Nick. He ate the devil fruit.
He ate the devil fruit. He has become,
God.
God. He's gone Kaioken.
Oh, right, Jeffrey. There's stands in this show, too.
Fucking really?
Not exactly.
There's like weird powers. Everyone's power like manifests differently in the show. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. There is some mystical shit going on. We've
Yeah.
gone away from it's a martial arts tournament, and now it's some like fucking magic shit.
With martial arts in
Dude
there.
straight up summons like a fucking Grim Reaper Joker dude to like swing a scythe around.
Much like a stand.
It was very like a stand. So yeah, there's some weird magic shit going on. But yeah, there is in the third episode, our main character's already beaten one of the administrators in like a handicap fight, and I'm like, how can we go back and do the regular tournament now? Like, I'm not gonna believe any of the fights are gonna be competitive. This dude has already shown that he's on like a 50th level above everybody else. Going back to the tournament now with his kid is pointless. So I don't know, like, maybe when we go into like the nationals, because I think this is like a regional tournament to decide who's
Yeah.
going to go to like the national level. Maybe the national level is going to be insane, but just from like a power level perspective, they've already fucked over the show. Like, I just don't believe the rest of this tournament now.
But I don't
I
think
mean,
you're supposed to at this point. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know enough to say that. Or,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know enough to argue that.
it just.
We'll see. I think there's still more to see.
I, it's something that I talk about a lot. Is like I don't want our time to be wasted, and I feel like that's sort of what happened in like we had the first 2 episodes of like we're gonna do tournament stuff, and like even parts of episode 3, like the first half of episode 3 was like we're gonna do tournament stuff, and then the back half episode of 3 was like, oh yeah, our dude's amazing now. He's Super Saiyan. Deal with it. He's just won this regional tournament flat out. We could just call it off and just award him the victory now. He's won. He's better than everybody else by 50 levels. Like, I just didn't like that. It made it seem. It both made the first 2 episodes, 2.5 episodes, seem pointless, and at the same time, it like invalidates everything else. Like he just got a huge power boost because he ate a peach. It wasn't even like he went into the fucking hyperbolic time chamber and like trained for 1,000 years, but it was actually only 10 seconds, like the hyperbolic time chamber does. Like it wasn't even he did some super intense training. He ate a peach, threw up some blood, and then was fucking incredible. So it didn't feel earned.
Do we
It
know
didn't
if the
feel
peach
good.
made him stronger physically though? He does mention that he felt hot.
I mean, he also moves quick enough that the proctor doesn't react to it.
Right. I don't know if that's supposed to be the peach though. I think it's supposed
The
to be.
hand of God implies that it is.
Yeah.
Because he basically says like, "Oh yeah, I've given him those things to see if he's really one of them," and then it shows like a dragon statue and like a bowl that's clearly empty, which like is implied to be a fruit bowl. So I'm guessing that was the fruit that the dude gave him earlier in that
It
episode. Where he
was.
was
He
like,
did
"Here,
get the
eat
devil
that."
fruit.
Yeah,
But I don't know what the devil fruit gave him, like what power it gave him.
yeah, that is a good point.
It's entirely possible that his power is, I don't know, convincing people to do stuff instead of actually being stronger. He got talk no jutsu.
Yeah, I'm assuming that it was like a general level up.
Yeah.
Because all we saw was that he was faster as he like fucking flash stepped across the arena basically before the dude could react. So we'll see when he goes into like the next tournament fight. Because I'm assuming we're gonna do a tournament fight and he's just gonna wipe the floor with some kid. But I didn't like it. I didn't like that that was how they decided. Like, we're just going to give him a huge level up right now without him like ever having lost or even really been challenged. We're just going to give him a huge level up for no reason.
I don't know what to bring up next. What about let's go with something else. The style of the show. How do you guys like the styling?
It's good. I mean, like I do like the Gumby, fighting.
I mean, like the
I
design
think
of the
it's a fun looking
characters.
show. Oh, the character design. I mean, kind of boring.
Boring?
It's
I thought
not.
it
It's
was.
not like
I guess it is a little boring. Some of the characters are like a little mundane-ish.
Hmm.
I do like
I
some of the
mean,
costuming, like our main character's costume is it because like those pants look like they belong like on a wrestler from like Mexico because he's wearing wrestling boots, isn't he? Are those wrestling boots?
I don't know. He's wearing Goku's pants and shoes, is what he's wearing.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, he is. I'm not sure why I like
Like,
thought those were like wrestler shoes or something.
I mean, they might be.
Right?
I usually, I guess he's wearing like high tied up boots. Like he's got the laces that go all
Yeah.
the way up, which like I guess are also like a wrestling y style, but like they also have like the very triangular wedge shape to them, which is the Goku style as well. So it's just Goku's pants and boots is what I see it as.
Mm-hmm. I do also like the music in the show. Not the opening, because the opening's fucking
Okay,
garbage. That opening
yeah,
is hot garbage. The
that
ending's
opening
okay
is
in my opinion.
fucking trash.
But like the actual background music in the show itself, I thought elevated scenes. I thought they fit very well and created a good sense of hype for what you're about to watch.
I don't remember any of the music.
Okay, I don't
I
remember.
remember the opening because it stands out for how bad it was.
I don't remember them either, but like I remember just being hyped with it. There are some of the shows where I do remember like some of the pieces and like actively want to listen to them.
Uh-huh.
But this is
Um,
getting close.
I mean, if I can't remember it, I feel like it's just sort of generic, like 16th note guitar music, like guitar riffs, which like I can't really give them credit for. It's the same reason why I didn't bring up the opening to Decadence. Is it's super generic.
Oh, I don't even remember it.
Like it's not bad. It's just very generic. It's very much Blink 182, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. I think I've mentioned this before, and the band themselves have mentioned this. Is like
It's very
as a musical
bland.
piece, it's very generic. They describe it as like it's a band in transition of like it's just guitar 16th notes with no real like super significant like their own style to it.
Well,
And that is what the Decadence opening was. Is it's super generic. Um, the God of High School one is dubstep and it's bad.
you
Um,
mentioned guitars, but I don't think there were any guitars in the soundtracks or
oh really?
in the actual like background music. Yeah, I think it was more like synth and a lot of like kind of trap beats.
Oh, I do not remember the
I
background to
now
God of High
if
School.
I'm wrong, then yes, the music was kind of generic. But that's what I
Yeah.
remember.
The fact that we can't remember it is telling, in my opinion. Um, oh, excuse me. The character design, I mean, it is fairly generic. A lot of the people do sort of look regular. They all have cauliflower ears and like stuffy noses, which is really weird.
I
I think
think
that's
that's just
the
like
part that I like the least.
I think that's just the thing with manhwa. Like that's just the style. Because
Maybe.
by the way, this show isn't based off a manga.
Mm,
Um, it's a Korean one.
yeah, it's a South Korean web comic.
Yeah,
Uh, I've only read like two other web comics, but I don't think they had the cauliflower ears, at least not to this extent. I mean, these dudes, like everybody in the show, looks like they have been punched in the side of the head several times.
I remember the noses more, but yeah, the ears are very like flapped.
The ears are very like at the very top, it's very rolled over, and it's an unnatural amount of rolled over, which is what stands out to me.
Yeah,
But other than that, like what's his name? Hand of God is pretty cool. I like him
Oh, with the
as
little
like a
horns.
character design. Yeah, he's kind of interesting. Our proctors, at the very least, like stand out. They're visually interesting. Our main character has the weird cross eyes, which maybe that'll become important. In terms of costuming, like our characters are costumed in like interesting ways. Like we had Tai
Are
Chi
they?
guy, and I mean
They all
they're at
represent
least like
like what they do.
yeah, they're identifiable through their fighting styles, through their costume. So like you see a character and you know like how they're gonna fight, which I think is in many ways a good thing to do.
It's good design at the very least. Like it's recognizable, which you already said.
Because we're gonna have like a martial arts, style fight, and like you don't know anything about martial arts, unless you constantly want to have your guy saying like I'm doing this martial art style. You need to have them like some visual way of representing like this is my style. So like when WWE lady got up there, like I knew she was gonna be a wrestler. Tai Chi guy, I knew that he was gonna be like a Tai Chi style because like he's dressed like Chun Li. Um, what's his name? Fucking dude with the bat.
He's got a fucking bat. What do you think he's gonna
He's
do
got a
with it?
fucking bat, and he's wearing a fucking tracksuit. He's gonna be some fucking gangster beatdown with a bat.
Speaking of which, our fist guy just wears like a white top and black pants, and you basically like I didn't know he did karate until it was like told to me.
That is a good point. Yeah.
I'm saying that's like the opposite of what we were looking at. Like everyone else was very well defined. He was actually
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
even more generic as the main character.
I am agreeing. Yes, he is very generic. It is a good point that he does not stand out. Kicks, not Sanji, also does not stand out, and sword as a
I thought Sanji
sword.
stood out.
I mean, but you don't look at him and know like he's a kickboxer or taekwondo. Like you
I
don't
guess
know
not.
he's gonna be that.
And the further yeah, like she's got a sword, so you know she's gonna use a sword, and then
Yeah.
use her hands as swords.
That was insanity. That was some straight up goon shit.
When it cut you.
I
with
did
my
not like
hands.
it.
I thought it was fucking stupid. I loved it.
I hated it. That was where like we officially episode 3 where she fucking broke out the air swords. I was like, we're jumping the shark. This is us jumping the shark on the jet ski.
I don't think it was air swords. Like it was her hand.
We're just gonna be like, hey. I mean, it was though. Like she did the chop, and WWE lady was standing like 3 feet away, and then
Oh,
she
okay.
fucking fell back, like cut. That was air sword that she just used with her hands. She like fucking threw wind at the lady and cut her. That was us on the jet ski going over the shark. I mean, this show is. We're gonna see like the next couple episodes. It could go one of two directions. I might get more into it as like fights just they decide like fuck it, it's all just gonna be weird magic shit from now on, and I'm gonna be like fuck it, who cares? We're doing Persona shit. Let's do Persona shit.
Nick, I don't think you
Or
understand. Like, we're on the jet ski, but we're not gonna come down. We're gonna keep like double jumping on the jet ski further above the shark.
see, but that's okay. If we never
Yeah.
come down from the jump the shark, it just keeps. It's just fuck it. We're gonna do Persona shit. I'm okay with it. Like that's the good side.
To be fair to
The
the
bad
show,
side is
the
like we
first
fucking
thing that
face
happens is a dude squashes an island with his hand.
That is true. That is very true. I don't know. The fact that we started out with like it's a taekwondo, like a mixed martial arts tournament, and then it's just become magic shit. I'm like, I guess, like saying it's an all styles martial arts tournament is it's a little bit disingenuous.
You forgot the asterisk where it says magic allowed.
Yeah. I feel like at that point, regular people need not apply should just be like written there in the brochure. Because like if you were a regular dude who's just like I could punch people in the face with my fists, you're fucked. You're gonna go up against some dude who's like I'm gonna throw fireballs at you with my mind, and you're like, well, fuck me sideways. This doesn't feel fair.
But that's I guess the show.
Yeah, that's God of High School. We haven't gone to high school ever. I'm going to continue to harp on that.
We're not going to go to high school.
We probably are.
I'm glad we're not going to high school.
I'm not. I thought it would be hilarious. I was hoping we would have like all the people had to attend a high school together.
Oh.
It's like in between beating the shit out of each other, they all had to like go to class.
Maybe that's what the final is. Sorry, not the finals, but that's what nationals is.
No, maybe. That would be entertaining. Is if they actually had to like outside of the tournament, like hang out and see each other in class would be interesting. and do school shit. That would be interesting. We don't have enough time for that, but it would be interesting.
Season 2.
Yeah,
Season 2.
maybe we'll get there. Uh, I did like the branding. I brought this up with Brandon a couple days ago. The fact that they have the branding of what we assume is the
Webtoons
web
and Crunchyroll.
platform that hosts it, and Crunchyroll, who's
No,
I guess
it is Webtoons is what hosts it.
okay, and Crunchyroll, who's I guess sponsoring this.
Yeah, they're paying for the show to be made.
Yeah, so I thought that was really cool. They also had a shot that was very like Megalobox reminiscent, as like they had the camera that like spiraled into the arena and did like the cycle, like the circle around it. There was a shot of a very similar shot in Megalobox, and I was wondering if that was like just a straight up rip off of that shot, or
I mean,
that was
just
just a
going around a
coincidence.
ring, I feel like it's just a thing you can do. Like, it's just a cool thing.
You're definitely right. It is, and it is a good shot. And I don't think it's like a. It's definitely not something that like Megalobox thought of first.
Yeah.
But I was wondering, like, maybe not a rip off, but like I was wondering if it was an allusion to Megalobox and that very similar shot.
Couldn't tell you. I would argue probably not. But then again, it could be.
Could be.
Megalobox was like just a massive homage to what was the show name?
It wasn't really
With
an
the other-
homage, more of as like a redux with just slight variations. But you're thinking of tomorrow's show.
I disagree. Slight. There were pretty significant variations. Yeah, the show was called Ashido no Joe.
Yeah.
Ashido no Joe was the boxing side of Megalobox. It was not all of that corporate shit, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
There was that whole other part of Megalobox that was like the kid's family and the lady trying to like sell her product to the government, and like all of that was not Ashido no Joe in any way.
The kid's family?
Yeah, the kid
right,
had
right,
the
little boy.
dad who got killed because of like some corporate shit, and
Oh
then
my
like got
God.
pushed under the rug.
Yes, that's right. That's right. I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
There was a whole like corporate espionage thing on the side that we never dealt with. And we
I
probably
forgot
won't
what you were
in Megalobox
describing
2.
for a second until you talked about the lady, and that's when I knew.
Yeah. There was like whole parts of that show that like never actually got resolved, as far as I remember. Like I don't think we ever dealt with the fact that like that kid's dad just straight up got like killed as part of his job, and they pushed it under the rug.
I think he got money for it. The
Maybe.
Yukiko gave him money for it.
Maybe it'll come up in Megalobox 2.
Well, he's Nomad. What a cool fucking name. Anyways, that's got a high school.
Yeah.
Balls to the wall action.
Maybe not going to turn out very well, but we'll see.
Any last thoughts, Jeffrey?
No, I hope that it gets better, like in terms of story. But if it keeps up the animation, I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's now our episode lead. It's our
Customary.
segment where we sell out to random bullshit. Nick, what would you like to sell out to today?
Today I'm going to sell out to a rapper who goes by the stage name E-Double, spelled D-U-B-B-L-E. He was a rapper who passed away a couple years ago, 2 years ago, from sepsis. But before then, he was not amazingly successful, but I think he was very good. It was very like he did a very more like hip hop style rather than like Kanye, Jay-Z, like hard rap. It was more hip hop lyrical in his style. I thought it was really good. I think that he is not nearly as well known as he should be. So I very much recommend his music and go check him out.
Okay,
Jeffrey.
good one. I actually have one in a similar-ish vein, with Disney Plus releasing Hamilton on that. Everyone's been talking about that, but I'd like to sell out to Anais Mitchell, who wrote a much better musical that should definitely be on Disney Plus instead, Hades Town. So Anais Mitchell, we're selling out to you today.
I'm just gonna sell out to some manga. I didn't have a theme for this season, so it's just gonna be the manga on my shelf. So Gundam the Origin is my sellout. Go read or watch it.
Brent has the worst sellouts this season.
Have you guys? All right, is this the premiere of this season, or
Yes.
am I like showing up halfway through? Okay, cool.
No, this is the first episode.
Cool.
We'll have a new a new background and everything because
I
this is
mean,
a new season, and
sure
Brendan
we
will
will.
make one, or I'll slap him in
Do
the
I?
face repeatedly.
I still
Um,
don't get an icon, right? Until I
no,
have 3 or more.
until you do 3 in
Okay,
a row,
that's reasonable.
you get to
That's
show up
fine.
consecutively. Right now, you're still
Okay.
special guest, Jeffrey. You'll get upgraded to main host and or main cast soon.
Yeah, I'm supporting Cass for now, and I'm fine with that.
Special guest.
Oh.
Uh, but yeah, so this has been another episode of ABC with special guest Jeffrey. Um,
Yay.
we're hoping he'll stick around. We'll see what actually happens. We're filming this on a new time, the same. What was it? New bat time, same bat channel. I believe is the old, Batman reference. But I'm
Yeah.
sure this will not come out for many weeks because Brandon sucks at editing, and when it does come out, nobody will watch because we don't have an audience. But thanks for being here and never listening to us.
Yay.
Yay.